There is little to talk about when it comes to the subject of pasta salad, right? Wrong. There's so much to talk about. I've been to a place where the pasta salad was made by the same person every gathering. And like lightning, it never struck the taste buds the same way twice. That experience has turned me into a not so enthralled pasta salad person. The pasta salad unenthusiast, they called me. No, they didn't. No one called me that. Today we're going to talk about numerous tips to achieve the best tasting pasta salad. 3 different ways. Can you see that 3? We're starting out today with the elbow of pasta salads. Now, I know that might sound like an insult, but elbows are a very functional part of the body and pasta. The goal is to get the creamiest macaroni pasta salad of your dreams. When you look at the back of a pasta box, there's always a recipe. Like any other day, you're gonna ignore that. But you know there's a recommendation also on there for the amount of water, to the amount of salt, to the amount of pasta. No worries, you could ignore that too. For about a half a pound of pasta, you wanna do 8 cups of water to about 2 tablespoons of salt. Don't worry about all the numbers. This is gonna be linked in the description. This is the step where I find as a collective, most of us fall flat. Next, we're gonna slightly overcook our pasta. More like tender, but not sticky and falling apart. For pasta salad, we don't want al dente or Bob Dente or even Steve Dente. We want tender without the last name Dente, because the goal is to make your pasta more susceptible to sucking up the sauces and the seasonings. And since this is cold pasta, the noodles are going to harden up a bit more when resting in the fridge later anyway. So instead of taking the road of how much time it's gonna take to get to the dentes, you wanna go 2 to 3 minutes more up the road to the tenders. My last tip before proceeding through the rest of the recipe, just hit your noodles with a little acidity right when it comes out of the pasta water. You can use white vinegar, apple cider vinegar. This time I chose to use pickle juice. The acidity can help your noodles from sticking, but another perk is that you get to give your noodles a bit of flavor right before hitting them with all that dressing. For this pasta specifically, the only swaps that I would make, if any, is to use a vegan sour cream if you can't find a really good, not overly processed vegan mayo. You could use a steak sauce if for some reason you can't get a hold of vegan Worcestershire. And get an immersion blender. They are fairly priced, and recipes like this just do not do well in a standard blender. If you took anything away from this, make sure you take care of your elbows. I used to know someone whose Italian pasta salad was cooking noodles, chopping up some random veggies, put them in a bowl, pour over store-bought Italian dressing, give them a little whirl, and boom. I would say, please don't feed that to anyone that I know. Of course, while people watching, I couldn't help the internal laughter while trying my best to not look away every time someone was going to take a bite. When you're done cooking your pasta, don't let it sit longer than, 20 to 30 minutes or whatever it takes to get it right to room temperature. Also, do not refrigerate yet. There's an optimal moment you need to start adding in your stuff with your noodles. While it's okay if you miss the window, the pasta salad won't be its greatest, which is what we're going for. Now that your pasta is cool, make sure before you add anything, you're cutting your add-ins with intention. Your add-ins shouldn't get in the way of making this a pasta before making it a salad. Let me explain. For me, pastas are about the noodles and the sauce, and salads are a bowl of competing textures. Therefore, you don't want huge vegetables just getting in the way. Take time to finely cut the vegetables to help complement the pasta. In this one, we're using a bit of vegan parm, but we are finely grating it. You could also replace that with nutritional yeast if that's better. Because I'm not using meat, I chose to add in a little sun-dried tomatoes to help with that swing of texture. Also, sometimes I'll add in things that I really like the taste of, but really don't like to eat. A perfect example of that would be like raisins in my bread pudding, or in a recipe like this one, it would be the olives, or mushrooms in like anything. The point is, just don't be that person on the wrong end of the question when someone asks, hey, who made the pasta salad? Not all leftovers are created equal. But why? You ever eat something the next day and it tastes so much better? Well, here's why. When you cook and initially blend your spices together, you haven't really yet merged them together. Strong spices such as garlic, onions, herbs tend to stand out individually after immediately being cooked. Then overnight happens. You had let it cool, the flavors and the spices begin to mingle with the starches and the proteins, and you produce this whole new united flavor explosion by simply just giving it time. All of this to say why you need to refrigerate your pasta salad overnight. At minimum, 4 to 6 hours. Skip this and you probably won't be invited to make the next pasta salad. I feel like this should be obvious, but when it comes to pesto pasta salad, most of the magic is in the pesto. Now you might think that's the rule of every pasta salad. Uniquely, this pasta salad has less vegetables and items like that in the salad portion than the others. So really, there's no other distractions in the salad to help compensate for a weak pesto presentation. So how do we make a great plant-based pesto? I like to focus on trying to use sweet basil. This will go well with the acidic components that you add at the end. Outside of basil, I always put another green in there. Spinach, typically I use mostly for the color. You could do parsley, but probably not cilantro, or at least not a whole lot of it. I like a strong representation of garlic in most of my dishes, but being that the garlic isn't being cooked, I don't want it to overpower the other components in the pesto. So I chose a little garlic powder instead. You could use pine nuts, you could use walnuts, you could use macadamia nuts, but if you do pine nuts, make sure you toast them. I would probably also toast the macadamias. Lastly, I wanted a bit of a secret in here that tasted familiar and pleasant. Something a little bit harder to recognize amongst the other flavors. So I went with some lime juice and a little bit of lemon zest. That lemon zest helps with the flavor, but it's also a nice attraction. All three of the pasta salads, you can find the full recipe on my website, makeitdairyfree.com, or you can click right over to it in the description. Thank you for watching. If you have some time, check out another one of my videos. Until next Sunday, believe in good. Peace.